Welcome back to the States. I'm Greg Bishop. Are you finishing your shopping for the holiday season? Well, are you thinking about how much more you're paying than last year? Let's check in now with Everyday Economics, where earlier this week, the Center Square publisher Chris Krug and PhD economist Orphe Divounguy talked about the cost of the Independence Day holiday.
$250. The fourth costs a little bit more, but not really in real terms. It is a record $73.82 for a cookout. That's a cookout for 10 people. That's inflation adjusted flat. And the backyard fireworks nearly doubled in the pandemic and never fell back. Dr. O, let's have some fun. And let's talk about what's going on in the economy. The American Farm Bureau Federation's summer cookout survey says that a cookout for 10 is about $74. It's up 4%. It's the highest since the survey began in 2016. 4% tracks pretty broad inflation. Prices are up actually 4.2% over the year ending in May. The cookout's still moving in line with the wider economy. Let's start with the question that everybody has.
It's going to be cheaper with charcoal than propane.
Well, let me let you talk about that. So, I mean, $74 for a cookout, still a pretty good deal. What's it cost to throw a 4th of July cookout this year, really?
Yeah, I mean, so the data is fascinating because it just shows, look, it's the highest it's ever been at $73, $7.38 per person. You think about it, it's risen in line with the rest of the economy. I think you mentioned that already. I think it's reasonable. I think it's reasonable. If you do it yourself, and and like you go to fast food restaurants nowadays, and you can't get it for less than $7.38 per person. So I think that's reasonable. You compare it to what's happening to inflation in the past year, and it's actually right in line, maybe even slightly below, because the big spike in inflation has really been a story about energy prices, right? And so, which is why I joked around, charcoal over propane might actually work even better. But basically, the real meat of it is the grocery prices, right? Food prices have been on the rise, and I think that is where the price of the cookout has gone up, right? It's the beef, the ground beef, it's the potato salad, the eggs.
Let me give you the inside scoop on that basket that we're bringing to the 4th of July. It's going to be our Independence Day meal. So beef prices are up about 5.5%. I mean, I buy beef every week. I see it. The new norm where I am is that a pound of ground chuck's about $6.50 to $7 a pound. That's in line with what's going on nationally. Potato salad prices actually are down 18%. And, eggs are down. I mean, as we remember from just a couple of years ago, I mean, egg prices were completely off the chain. I mean, completely out of control.
2022, man.
Yeah.
Everything is below the 2022 peak, right? So,
the other thing that's kind of interesting, that's sort of out there, with regard to the holiday itself, would be kind of like, what COVID did to the outdoor fireworks shows. We stopped getting together, that fireworks shows were completely canceled in some cases, right? We just didn't have big public events, in 2020 and 2021. Backyard fireworks have kind of skyrocketed, I guess you would say. That we now as a country are spending, like, I don't know what the dollars attached to it, but 436.4 million pounds of fireworks on an annual basis in 2022, and that number's been pretty close to flat, right? So what's happening over there?
Yeah, ultimately, the consumer spending that is holding up is because old habits are hard, right? To what's the expression?
They're hard to
What's
break.
The expression? They're hard to break. They're hard to break, and so we go ahead and do it, right? We do it anyway, and sometimes we just have to put it on the credit card instead of because things are kind of tight, and that's what's happening with the consumer altogether right now. They're going to go ahead and celebrate anyway. They're going to go ahead and enjoy their summer breaks anyway. And you see it in the data, right? Real incomes are basically flat, but consumer spending in real terms is still rising.
Is it a case? Is it a case of what we're just not willing to give up? And how do you read that as an economist? How do you make sense of that? There are just certain things, regardless of what's going on in the economy, that people won't give them up.
Yeah, it's trade-offs, right? You might sacrifice something else. You might not go out to eat a few times this year, right? And in favor of the things that you do with your family, like the 4th of July weekend, right? And so it's all about trade-offs. People are having to make tough decisions in an economy like the one we're in, where inflation is a little bit above 4%, right? Those are the tough choices, right? Now, when inflation was 2% and the economy was booming, right? Guess what? The people didn't have to make those decisions, but now it's happening. But ultimately, as a macroeconomist, what we know is that, consumer spending tends to be sticky. Right. That people have a tendency of sticking to their habits. It's hard to make those changes on a dime, right? And so that's not too surprising to me, right? To see that basically, the consumer is doing everything he or she can to hold on to the things that are some essentials, but also what they value or care about more, right? And so right now you got recreational spending kind of still holding up. You got the 4th of July, you got the World Cup out there, but that's likely not going to last. We really need this economy. We need inflation to come down a little bit because it's really a big tax on consumers.
Well, thanks as always, Dr. Rowe. Make sure you catch Orphe's Everyday Economics column Mondays in the Center Square. You can listen to us over the weekend on the Center Square Radio Hour. And now find Everyday Economics Inside the States, the Center Square's daily news magazine, streaming on YouTube.